It's Squirrelly Storytime.
Artsy Fartsy Saturday.
Hey friends, how are you today? Is it fall where you are? We're going to look at some interesting creatures called snails. We have tons of them here in the Pacific Northwest, and then we're going to make some snail paintings. So come on, let's go. Here are what fall brings all the snails to the yard. Aren't they cute? What do you notice about the way they're moving? What about their shells? They grow in a spiral pattern. What else do we know about snails?
The shell is like a bone on the outside. They have an organ in their back that grows their shell. It's called a mantle.
Snails need to keep eating foods high in calcium like spinach, broccoli, and clover to grow their shells.
Wow.
He's trying to climb the clover.
That one keeps coming.
The other one's like moving away so fast.
Oh
Those shells are heavy.
Alright, time to make our snails. Are you ready? Let's gather our supplies. First, we'll need some paper. If you have watercolor paper, that works great. If not, use whatever paper you have. We'll need one piece that's a little bigger and one piece that's a little smaller. You'll also need something to paint on, like a brown paper bag and a pencil. You'll need some paints. For this one, we used acrylic paints and a black marker like a Sharpie or the India ink pens. That's optional. Some paintbrushes and a spot to put your paint in. Let's get started. So on the smaller paper, we're going to draw a snail body. Do you remember what the snail bodies look like? We're going to draw a back. Basically, it's like one long leg, right? The snail. And a little wavy here and there. And we're going to draw a head. Remember, it does not have to be perfect. And we're just using pencils, so we can always erase any boo-boos. Maybe we'll give it a little bit of a nicer neck. Okay. So Squirrelly is not an artist, so you're not required to be an artist either. Yep, there are 4 things protruding out of its head. So the top 2 were its eyeballs. We're gonna put some there, and then I had some little whisker things coming out.
It was the sensors.
Some little sensors, that's right. Yep, paint it just like that. That's a very nice snail body.
This is my snail body, and the reason why it has this black thing is it's the shadow.
Ooh, very nice.
And these are the sensors, and these are the eyes.
Very
and that's
nice.
the body.
Cool. So the paint we're going to use is acrylic paint, which looks like this. So this paint is opaque, meaning it's not see-through. So if you're going to do it on top of pencil, you have to be careful to stay inside the lines because it will cover your pencil. Choose some colors. So here I picked out this dark purple color for the base of the snail body. And then I have 2 accent colors, this like light brown and this dark orange. So we're gonna use those colors for some little dots, little snail freckles. So get your paintbrush and dip it in a little bit of purple and you can paint your body. So the good thing about acrylic is that it dries super fast. So since it dries so fast, we can just wait just a few seconds and then add our dots on. and little accents. So if you paint over some of your details in pencil, you know, that's okay. You can still kind of see the ridges where the original pencil was, and then go over that with your accent color.
Or after you're done, you could repaint it.
Yep, you can also do second coat of paint, especially if you're using thick paper like this kind. Once most of the paint no longer looks wet, you can come in with your second brush. Pick one that's pointy. It doesn't have to be a small pointy brush, but it does have to have a good point on it so that you can add some snail freckles wherever you want. Happy with most of my dots. I'm gonna add little lines along the legs. So they don't have legs, right? The whole body's like one big leg, basically.
These pink dots, I just put that there for a little decoration and for it to look pretty, and these gray and orange dots for it to look pretty. This is my snail and I made it a little fat because I saw that one was really big.
Okay, now our snail body is done, and we're gonna put it to the side and let it dry completely. And we're gonna get the bigger piece of paper. Grab our pencil and make the snail shell. Do you remember what the snail shell looks like? Is it a square?
No.
Was it a rectangle?
No.
Was it a spiral?
Yeah.
We're gonna draw the outside of the snail shell. Use as much of your paper as you can. If you mess up with the pencil, you can erase, or you can flip the paper over and start again on the back. And it's our like kind of imaginative snail. It doesn't have to look realistic at all. It can look like whatever you want it to look like. And just keep drawing inside till it gets tiny, tiny, tiny. Here's one example from a moon snail that lives in the ocean. Right, it's kind of like a circle, but it's not exactly a circle. And so the snail would have come out on this side. So I'm gonna actually make my opening a little different. I'm gonna make it a little bit thicker and go down a little further. And I'm gonna erase the other line, the old line. So this snail shell works for me. Okay, so once you have your shell done, so it's gonna look interesting because the shells are gonna be like huge, right, compared to the little snail bodies, and that's totally cool. That's what we want just for this like project. And you see how there's little ridges, right? All of these, there's like little ridges. That's the growth pattern of the shell. So we're gonna add little lines on our shells too. Remember, like, art can be, you know, it can look however you want it to look. It doesn't have to look like a photograph. I think it'd be kind of boring if all art looked just like photographs. Alright, so now we're done with the basic pattern of the shell. Okay, now we're gonna start painting the snail shell. So pick colors that are not on your snail body. They can be similar, but at least a different shade. So I'm picking a turquoise color, a blue, a light purple, and a yellowish kind of mango orange. If you're following along with us, go ahead and pause the video here and then keep coloring your shell. And then unpause it when you're done. Okay, so we've finished painting the snail shells. And so we're gonna go in, use a black marker. So you could use a Sharpie, but these are actually my favorite. And then you're gonna use that to trace the lines. Now be careful because this part, if you make a mistake, this one's a little bit harder to fix than if you make a mistake with the paint. And then don't forget the outside. We're gonna cut these out eventually, but we still want to get a line on the outside. Okay, and now we're gonna start cutting. You have to be very careful here. I mean, if something happens, we could just glue it on and tape it on. But you do want to be as careful as you can be. Alright, I think this is as good as we're gonna get it. Okay, so we got our snail and the shell. Remember, shell is supposed to be look bigger than the snail. That's gonna add to the cuteness. So take your glue stick and then kind of note where the shell is gonna begin. Maybe put your fingers here and then put glue on the rest of the snail body. There you go. And then just press it down. For the glue to really stick on there. And now your snail is all done. And when you're done, you can take your snails out for a walk. How did your painting go? Did you learn anything new about snails? I bet you did. Let us know about it or tell a favorite grown-up. And thanks for hanging out with us today, friend. If you'd like to help us create more videos just for you, click the thumbs up and subscribe. We'll see you soon.